Here we are, guys, in part 3 of this story. In the Land of Waves, our favorite blonde encounters the Kyuubi. Watch the subsequent events unfold as Naruto uses the power that was sealed inside of him on the day of his birth. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Now, let's begin. It was late in the afternoon in Konoha. Team 8 was finishing up their drag missions for the day. Being an Inuzuka, Kiba naturally hated cats. However, after today Kiba was ready to wipe out every cat from the face of the planet. Once again, Tora had managed to escape, and as such, the Capture Tora mission was reinstated. This time it was assigned to Team 8. The first time it was assigned to Team 7, the past 3 times went to Team 10, and it was about time Team 8 got to experience firsthand one of the most frustrating missions in all the 5 great nations. Kiba had received most of the injuries, with multiple scratch marks all over his face and other places. Unfortunately, Hinata had a mark on the left side of her face from trying to pry the cat off of Kiba before Kurama could put it under a genjutsu. Hinata arrived back at the Hokage compound. Like always, her father greeted her with the usual emotionless question of asking how her missions went. However, after seeing the scratch mark on the side of her face, it became obvious exactly which mission she was assigned. Hiyashi recalled the time when he was just starting out as a Jonin. There was always a mission that required a team to capture a renegade cat that belonged to the Fire Lord's wife. The cat's name was Tori, the mother of Tora. If there was any true demon spawn in the village, it was that damn cat. Like it was for Hiyashi, this mission was considered a rite of passage for newly graduated Jonin, as almost everyone in the village has had to catch Tora or one of her predecessors. "Hello father," Hinata said, giving her father a quick bow. "Welcome home, Hinata. I would ask you how your missions went today, but I think I already know," Hiyashi said to his daughter. Hinata quickly explained the other mission that they had. Afterwards, Hiyashi took Hinata and her sister, Hanabi, into the family dojo for a quick sparring session. Like always, Hanabi had bested Hinata, much to Hiyashi's disappointment. At the Hokage's tower, the third had just received the mission report from Team 7's most recent C-rank mission. He opened it and began reading. He nearly had a heart attack from what he read. "Lord Hokage, I am reporting in on the mission escort to the Land of Waves. The mission was originally assigned a C-rank mission, but was quickly upgraded to a B-rank mission after 2 Kirichunin attacked our group. Their target was Tazna. Despite the encounter, everyone was unharmed and we decided to continue with the mission. I regret to inform you that this was a mistake and we should have cancelled the mission. It was then decided to upgrade the mission to an A rank after we were attacked by the missing ninja Zabuza Momochi and an accomplice disguised as a Kiri Hunter ninja. Naruto and Sasuke proved to be invaluable in that attack as Zabuza and his accomplice was forced to retreat. For the next week, my team was stationed on guard duty. The following day, Zabuza and his accomplice reappeared. Our team engaged them and fought until the fight was interrupted by Gato and his subordinates. Gato has been controlling the shipping and economy of the nation, effectively controlling it and its people through oppression and fear. As a result, they revealed their intentions to kill all of us, including Zabuza and his accomplice, Haku. However, with the help of Zabuza and Haku, Gato was quickly killed and his subordinates scattered. By the time you read this, the bridge that Tazuna was charged to build should be completed or within a day of completion. I have been informed that a representative of the Land of Waves will be traveling to Konoha and the Land of Fire capital to arrange trade agreements as an attempt to repair the economy of the Land of Waves and thank us for our intervention. I also have a rather odd request coming from Zabuza and Haku. It appears as if the two of them have experienced a change of heart, thanks to their encounter with Naruto. The two of them are requesting an opportunity to join Konoha as ninja. While I normally would disregard such a request, I have reason to believe that they are sincere with their words. Haku also possesses a rare bloodline, the Hyoton, which may prove an invaluable addition for the village. Zabuza has informed me that he is willing to undergo any mental interrogation or trials that would be required for him to prove his intentions to join the village. Kakashi Hitake, Jonin. "Sir, are you alright?" the Hokage's assistant asked, seeing his facial expression after reading the report. "Please summon the village council along with Ibiki, Enko, and Inoiki for an emergency meeting in 30 minutes," the Hokage said. Naruto had just come out of his conversation with the Kyuubi before returning to Tezuna's house. He was happy that he would now have the ability to use the Kyuubi's chakra, unimpeded, even if it was only a fraction of the Kyuubi's power at this point in time. With it, he would be as strong as the Hokage in no time. Kurama had explained one last detail about using the Kyuubi chakra, and that was the presence of a chakra cloak if he tapped into enough of the chakra. However, it was explained that given the current state of Naruto's seal, the most he could safely use would be one tail of the cloak for the time being. After using said demonic chakra, it would be common for Naruto to experience extreme exhaustion. Naruto returned to the bridge builder's house. Haku was set up in the guest room, trying to rest the injuries that Naruto had inflicted on him. Naruto had apologized to the boy, which was graciously returned. The day of their fight, everyone, Haku especially, had pretty much spent the entire day resting. Haku and Sasuke were pretty much told to rest for the rest of the week while their injuries healed. The day after the fight, Tazuna wanted to get started on the bridge again. As such, the remnants of Team 7 continued with guard duty. There were a few incidents with some of Gado's men trying to take revenge on the ninja or trying to reclaim the island that they had once controlled. However, they were quickly dispatched. Zabuza had tried to apologize to Tazuna for trying to kill him, resulting in the demon of the hidden mist working on the bridge as well, as Tazuna needed the labor to complete the bridge by the end of the week like he had intended. However, there were two things he had on his side now. One was that the workers were not scared of Gado and they wouldn't quit when it got too late in the day, allowing construction to continue for longer. Second, he fully underestimated Naruto. Kakashi had suggested that Naruto use his clones to help Tazuna out, and the help of 100 extra hands really worked, even if they did disappear whenever one clone missed a nail with a hammer and accidentally hammered his own finger. The third entered the council hall to see that the village council had assembled, although rather hastily. A few of the elder members were nagging the aging Hokage as to why this meeting was called so late at night. The reason I called you all is regarding a report I received from Team Kakashi, who was assigned on a C-rank mission to escort Tazuna, the bridge builder, to the Land of Waves, the third announced. After reading the mission report, it was upgraded to an A-rank mission. This sent stirs through the chamber. A-rank? Why was it upgraded to an A-rank mission? Homaru, one of Hiruzen's counselors, asked. The team encountered and battled the missing ninja Zabuza Momochi. The third's words once again sent stirs throughout the council. Zabuza Momochi? Are they alright? Is Sasuke Uchiha alright? Asked a member of the council who ranked right up there with Sasuke's fangirls. The Hokage nodded, reassuring the council member. So I assume you have sent a more qualified team to replace Team Kakashi? Asked Koharu, the Hokage's other advisor. No, once again. There was talk amongst the council. This is the reason I have summoned you here. They have been involved in the death of Gado, business tycoon. However, it has been revealed that Gado was a crime lord who has been oppressing the people of the Land of Waves for the past few years. He hired Zabuza and an accomplice to assassinate Tazuna before his bridge was completed. Tazuna's bridge was the one thing that could weaken Gado's grasp on the island's economy. A few of the council who were more versed in economics agreed. However, it appears that Zabuza turned on Gado with the intention of aiding Team Kakashi after he had a change of heart. I received a request that Hatake Kakashi has forwarded from Zabuza Momochi that is asking us to accept Zabuza and his accomplice, Haku, as a member of this village. Why should we do that? Zabuza is listed as a missing ninja by the Hidden Mist village. There could be political implications as to this, one of the counselors stated. I am well aware that, while we are considered neutral with Kirigaku no Sato, the taking in of Zabuza Momochi could result in some unwanted political implications, the Sandaime pointed out. However, it is not uncommon for villages to take the missing ninja of other villages. After all, that was the reason hunter ninja were commissioned, am I correct, Inuzuka-san? Tsume Inuzuka stood up. That is correct. My clan contains some of the best hunter ninja in the village, and it is the job of said hunter ninja to track down and capture or eliminate a missing ninja before they can sell any secrets to a village. However, should a village be fortunate enough to obtain a high-ranked missing ninja, the secrets they can obtain are substantial. It only further the reasons as to why we a village would take a missing ninja in. I agree with you on that, Inuzuka-san. Now the question is, what can Zabuza Momochi provide for us? He has been missing from his village for at least 6 years now, and some of his secrets would be considered outdated, said a bandaged man. Danzo, you of all people know that even old secrets can be considered useful, said the Sandaime. Besides, Kakashi included a few preliminary reports on Zabuza Momochi and his accomplice, Hakuyuki. The report on Haku stated that the boy possessed a rare bloodline. Hiruzen did it, he pulled the bloodline card. The counselors looked on at him with all interest set on this bloodline. Konoha loved bloodlines, as seen with how they treated the Hyuga and Uchiha, when the clan was still around. Hokage-sama, "Is there any mention as to which bloodline this child possesses?" asked another member of the council. "Yes, Kakashi mentioned the boy using Hyoton Jutsu and during their encounter," said the Sandaime. This stirred conversations in the room. Immediately, the Hyoton was believed lost when Kirigakure no Sato initiated their bloodline purges, something Konoha saw as a travesty. "Are you sure it is the true Hyoton?" asked the same counselor. "I am fairly certain that it is the true Hyoton." Kakashi mentioned the boy's ability to form ice out of thin air, not just simply manipulating pre-existing ice like the ninja in Snow County do. "I do believe that this is truly the Hyoton," said the Sandaime. A few of the counselors couldn't help but praise their luck. They were so close to obtaining another bloodline, something they felt Konoha had been lacking for the past decade or so. A little more discussion ensued until a final vote was called for on whether or not to extend a preliminary invitation to Zabuza Momoyuki and Hakuyuki. The vote was strongly in favor of extending the invitation after a trial had been conducted to determine Zabuza's true intentions. 4 days had passed since Gato's defeat and the bridge was now complete, thanks to the help of a particular one-man, Blonde Army. That night, the village held a rather large celebration to celebrate the liberation of the wave from Gato, a future of economic prosperity. Every ninja there was seen as a hero who helped to overthrow Gato, even Zabuza. But the one who really got most of the credit was Naruto for inspiring the villagers to stand up against the tyranny of people like Gato. Sasuke had healed almost completely to the point where he would be ready to train again the next day. They would still remain in the way for another 2 days as Haku wasn't quite ready for long traveling yet. Even then, he wouldn't be able to travel at a high pace, but it would be faster than the pace Team 7 made to get Tazuna there. While Team 7 was rather friendly that night, it still consisted of a few attempts by Naruto to get Sakura to go out with him, and a few attempts by Sakura to get Sasuke to go out with her. Neither Naruto nor Sakura had much success. The remaining 2 days, Kakashi gave to his team to rest and take a small vacation, something Sakura welcomed with open arms. Sasuke, on the other hand, used that day to get in some more training. He was ecstatic, even if it didn't show, that he had unlocked the Sharingan, his clan's bloodline. While it was still in the early stages, it was the Sharingan nonetheless. Kakashi had also offered to give help Sasuke get adjusted to his newly found dojutsu. The training offer was extended to the rest of the Team 7, with Naruto taking up the offer and Sakura deciding she would rather get some rest. Kakashi would balance his time between training Sasuke with the Sharingan and working on fixing Naruto's taijutsu. While Naruto had been considered passable back in the academy and his taijutsu had made a lot of progress in the last few months, it still needed some work to make it acceptable. The next morning, the 6 of them headed off towards Konoha. It was about 2 days' travel, with only ninja traveling this time. They arrived at the village gate early in the afternoon to find a few Onbu waiting for them. "Zabuza Momochi, you are to come with us for an investigation into your intentions on joining us," the bare-masked Onbu said. Zabuza complied and he and Haku left with the Onbu. "Kakashi-sensei, how long will it take before we know if they can join?" Naruto asked. Sakura and Sasuke also wanted to know. "Their trial is scheduled for 3 o'clock 2 days from now. It is then that we will know their fate in Konoha," Kakashi responded. "To be honest, I don't think Haku will have much of a problem, seeing as he has never had official ninja training and because of his bloodline, but Zabuza could be a different story." After reporting into the Hokage, Team 7 was dismissed. Despite still being a rookie, Naruto had just survived and completed an A-rank mission, something that was reserved for high Chunin and Jonin. He was ecstatic and decided to celebrate with Iruka at Ichiraku. Much to Naruto's dismay, Team 7 was stuck doing D-rank missions the following 2 days. Kakashi figured that it would be better for them to get a few short missions before Zabuza's trial. Not to mention, they practically had an entire month's worth of training in a 3-week mission. It was getting close to 3 and they proceeded to the Academy Auditorium, where Zabuza's trial was to be held. When they got there, they found the room to be rather packed. Apparently word that the demon of the hidden mist wanting to join the village had spread. They managed to find a set of seats next to Team 8, with Naruto ending up to a poor Hinata who would be turning redder and redder throughout the entire thing. Next thing that happened, Mito Guy, the Jonin in the village with a shiny black bull haircut who was wearing green spandex, came in and started going on about their eternal rivalry. Guy was being a little too energetic and gay-like for the rest of Team 7, who were trying to inch their way away from the mighty green beast. This in turn, pushed Naruto closer to Hinata until he was virtually on top of her. The close proximity of her crush caused the poor girl to faint in her chair. She wouldn't wake up for a while. As the trial started, The third Hokage entered, along with some of the more prominent members of the village council. He announced to everyone the reason why they were there, although everyone pretty much knew why. Soon after, Zabuza and Haku entered the auditorium, escorted by a few Onbu. Zabuza Momochi, Hakuyuki, you are here today to justify your intent to join this village as ninja of Konoha. Is that correct? The third began reading from the paper he was holding. Why don't we get straight to the point? Inoiki, Ibiki, what are the results of your interrogation sessions with Zabuza Momochi? Lord Hokage Inoiki said, standing up. I will be honest, I was not expecting much to warrant admission of this missing nin into the village, especially given his record. Zabuza gave a slight DSK under his own breath. Inoiki then proceeded to present his report on the mental findings of Zabuza's mental stability. I do find that he is sincere in his request to join and serve the village of Konoha though. I have found the same to be true with Hakuyuki here as well. Very well Inoiki, the Hokage said. Ibiki? Hokage-sama. Like Inoiki, I had high doubts about these two. While I do feel that Zabuza here is not lying, his previous record of instating a coup in Karagakure no Sato must be taken into account, said Ibiki. Zabuza sighed as the Hokage began to speak again. Zabuza, do you have anything to say about your actions? Asked the Hokage. I do. I believe you have received reports on the state of the mist under the rule of the Sandaime Mizukage, said Zabuza. Hiruzen nodded. One such measure he instigated was the blood limit purges. During that time, I encountered Haku, who I could not allow to suffer under the Mizukage's wrath. The village was not healthy under the Mizukage's oppression. However, even just a few glances of Konoha have told me that Konohagakure no Sato is nothing like Karagakure no Sato. It is a village that I would rather serve over Karagakure no Sato. Very well. I have already discussed with the council about these two joining the village and it appears that they have passed Inoiki and Ibiki's examination, the Hokage stated. Homaru stood up and addressed the two in question. Zabuza Momochi, Hakuyuki, it was decided the other day that should we determine that your intentions are good for Konoha, that you be granted a chance-earned citizenship. However, one thing that has intrigued us is Haku's bloodline. Haku, if you don't mind, there are some of us here who would like a demonstration of your abilities. Haku obliged and the chakra-suppressing cuffs were removed. He made a quick hand sigh. Hyoton, demonic ice mirrors. With that, a mirror in front of Haku formed out of ice and so did one on the other side of the room. The elders were impressed that the Yuki bloodline, the Hyoton, still existed. He performed a few more movements, jumping quickly from mirror to mirror, and showing off his accuracy with Senbone. So the Hyoton still exists, Danzo thought to himself. Hiruzen shot him a look, indication to Danzo not to try anything funny with this boy. It was known to a few of the higher-ups that Danzo was the leader of a secret Onbu organization known as Root. Over the past years, Hiruzen had managed to loosen Danzo's grip on village power, but he was still aware that Danzo would try to recruit some ninja with potential, Haku in particular, into his forces. Koharu then stood up to address Haku. Hakuyuki. You have demonstrated a rather advanced blood limit. Our records show that you are 13 years of age. By law of this village, if someone possesses a blood limit, they will be allowed to start a clan when they are of age, Koharu said. Kakashi knew this was going to happen with Haku and he had mentioned to Zabuza beforehand. Granting Haku clan status was a way for them to further cement the bloodline into the village. The Hokage took the floor once again. Zabuza Momochi, Hakuyuki. You will be allowed to serve under this village so long as you comply with our laws and regulations. Zabuza, you will be assigned the rank of Chunin. You will also be placed on probation for the next 2 months along with supervised mission duty for the following 4 months. Should I find no issues with you being allowed to serve Konoha, you will be eligible to participate in the Jonin examinations at the end of the year to regain your previous rank of Jonin. If you do anything that endangers the village, the Onbu have orders to execute you. Do you understand and accept these terms? I accept them, Lord Hokage Zabuza said, offering a respectable gesture and trying to get on the Hokage's good side already. Hakuyuki. Seeing as you have no official ninja training, I must give you the rank of Jinan and assign you to a team. I will find a team to place you on and you will begin once your placement is confirmed, said the Hokage. Do you accept these terms? I accept them, Lord Hokage Haku said, following in Zabuza's stead. Naruto was ecstatic upon hearing this. He ended up hugging the nearest person around him out of joy, which just so happened to be Hinata, who was just waking up. Needless to say, she fainted, again. If there are no other objections, then I call this meeting closed. You are dismissed, the Hokage announced. Following the trial, Kakashi was called into the Hokage's office. "Kakashi, I want you to take Haku on your team," said the Hokage. "But sir, I've already got 3 students. You can't expect me to take on a 4th. What will happen to the 3-man squad?" argued Kakashi. "I am aware, but I am also aware of the paperwork that this little stunt will result in. If I'm going to have to deal with extra paperwork and possible fallout with Kiri, then the least you can do to help me is make finding Haku a team easy. Besides, your students are the only people in Konoha he knows, and it will be good for him. If my suspicions are correct. Though, the council will try to have him promoted as soon as they can. They are like that when it comes to new bloodlines," said the Hokage. "Do I make myself clear that you will take Haku on your team?" "Yes, Hokage-sama. I will incorporate him right away," said Kakashi, not wanting to argue with his leader. Kakashi caught his team meeting up with Haku and Zabuza outside the trial. It was there that he announced that Haku would be joining Team 7 for the time being. He then stated that the rest of the week would be dedicated to integrating Haku into the team. He then invited the new team and Zabuza to barbecue for dinner to get to know each other better. This also served as a little introduction to the team for Haku. They also managed to meet up with Team 10 and Asuma, who was intrigued by the fact that the Demon of the Hidden Mist would be joining them. It was also a little weird for him to be seeing one of the 7 swordsmen wearing a Konoha headband. Team 7 met up early the next morning at Training Ground 7. Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, and their new teammate, Haku, arrived at the normal 9 a.m. time. Like always, Kakashi was a few hours late, showing up around 11 a.m. "You're late," the older members of Team 7 shouted in unison. "Sorry, but you see, a black cat crossed my path and I felt that I should take the long way to avoid any unfortunate happenings," Kakashi said. No one believed him. "Anyways, the main thing I want to do is get the 4 of you used to working together. Also, I want to see what Haku is capable of." Haku agreed to show the team some of his techniques. They already knew about his Hyoton, demonic ice mirrors, so he decided to move on to his other main ice technique, Hyoton, Ice Dome. That jutsu turned out to be a defensive jutsu that created a dome around Haku. Kakashi decided to test out the Ice Dome's strength. Much to his surprise, it withstood a good beating, requiring some of Kakashi's more powerful techniques to break the defense. Even though the team already knew about Haku's accuracy, they were still impressed at just how accurate he was using Senbon. Although Kakashi tried to convince him to use a more powerful weapon, Haku stuck by using the Senbon as he had the skill required to effectively use them. The only other techniques that Haku was able to use were the Suten, sharp water needles, and another low-level water-type technique. Still, Kakashi was impressed that someone so young could already make use of 2 elements. At the same time, this worried him because he could see Naruto and Sasuke becoming more and more jealous of Haku's abilities. The 2 of them finally cracked. "Kakashi-sensei, teach us a cool jutsu or something," Naruto said. "We've already passed the water walking exercise and now it's time you teach us something useful." For once, both Sasuke and Sakura actually agreed with him. Kakashi closed his eyes and began thinking for a moment. "All right. I suppose the 3 of you have shown me that you are ready to begin some ninjutsu training. Let's call it an early day. I'll go to the jutsu library and pick out a jutsu for each of you that I feel best suits you. Now here's the deal, I'll give you the entire morning to work on them, but you will be doing whatever missions we get in the afternoon without complaining. Do we have a deal?" "Yes," Naruto shouted out. Sasuke and Sakura quickly responded as well. "Oh man. This is great. Finally, a new jutsu." Later that evening, the team met up for dinner as was suggested by Kakashi. "So Haku, tell us a little about yourself," Sakura asked. "Huh? What do you mean?" the new member said. "Well, you didn't live in Konoha and it sounds like you were traveling a lot. I'm sure you must have some interesting stories," the pink-haired Kunoichi explained. "Well, I guess I could tell you about me," Haku said as the rest of the team listened in. Haku began to tell his story. "I was born in a small village in the northern part of the Land of Water. It got cold enough there that it would snow a lot, which I guess could be why I can use ice style. It was a peaceful village despite the fact that our nation was at war. My father was a normal man. No shinobi training. He preferred to live a simple life as a farmer. One day, he met my mother and they fell in love. My mother seemed like a normal woman, although she used to be a shinobi. She was able to keep her abilities hidden due to the fact that the people of my village hated ninja. They saw them as responsible for the recent civil war and wanted nothing to do with them. To be with my father, my mother gave up her life as a ninja and settled down. Shortly after, I was born. At first, my father wasn't sure if I was a boy or girl because of my appearance, but my mother quickly explained that it was a common trait amongst her family that even the males had a feminine look to them. Everything was fine until I was 5. One day, I showed my mother something that I thought was cool and amazing. It was my height and abilities. I thought I saw a little bit of happiness in her eyes, but I was scolded for doing so. I guess she didn't want me using it, fearing that it would cause problems within our family. Haku trailed off into silence. Sakura could tell something was wrong and told Haku that he didn't have to say anything else. However, Haku shortly resumed the story, saying that it would be best for the team if they knew everything about his past. Despite her efforts to conceal my newfound abilities, my father had already witnessed what had happened. I don't know what drove him to say what he did next, but I think it was because he was afraid I would become a ninja, or that the villagers were afraid of the powers I possessed. Haku took a short pause before continuing on. He gathered a mob of villagers and killed my mother. He then turned to me. I could see sadness in his eyes, but at the same time I could see fear. I could feel that he didn't want to do what he was doing, but the fear drove him. Looking over at my mother, lying dead next to me, I lost control of my power and encased the entire mob in ice, effectively killing them. Naruto stared wide-eyed at Haku. To his surprise, what Haku had experienced was similar to his childhood. He was certain that the villagers did not hate him, but they feared what was sealed inside him, the Kyuubi. Haku, I'm sorry that happened to you. Believe me, I know how you feel, the blonde-haired ninja said. I cannot explain why, but for some reason the villagers wanted nothing to do with me. Even now, they harass me. The rest of Team 7 had no idea what Naruto's childhood was truly like. I suppose the only one who could relate the best with Naruto was Sasuke, but even then it wasn't quite the same. Naruto told a few things about his own childhood, how the village hated him, how a mob was formed on his birthday each year, and how most of the village wished he was either gone or dead. He didn't reveal the reason for it, but he knew why they hated him. He had first realized the night when Mizuki had him steal the forbidden scroll. After that, the Sundaime had told Naruto a few more details on the secret that Mizuki had spilled. I'm sorry you had it like that. What are you going to do? Haku asked. I'm going to show them the real me. Even though they treat me like shit sometimes, I know that they are good people and I just need to show them that I will protect them, Naruto said. Haku was inspired by the boys' resolve. It's my dream. I will become Hokage, and with that, the entire village will recognize me. I see. It seems like me, you have found some precious people that have already saved you from the hell that is loneliness, said Haku. Yeah, I found a few people willing to recognize like the old man Hokage, Iruka-sensei, Kakashi-sensei, Sakura, and even the team over there. He doesn't admit it, but I see the way he looks at me when we train together. He acknowledges that I am there and we use each other to push ourselves further, Naruto explained. Kakashi and Sakura thought what he was saying was sweet. Sasuke just shrugged it off, but the idiot was right. I am glad, because I also found someone who saw me as something more, Haku said. Zabuza? Sakura responded. Yes, and with that, Haku resumed his story. I was orphaned for about a few months. Even though it was cold outside due to the snow, my bloodline protected me. Then one day, I met Zabuza. At first, he just looked at me with pity, but then I saw in his eyes that he felt the same loneliness that I did. After that meeting, I joined him in his quest. After some time, he asked me to become his weapon, to serve as a shinobi with him. Before I met him, I lost my purpose in life. However, when he asked me to become a shinobi, it's as if he gave me a new purpose to life. I gladly accepted. Over the next couple of years, he trained me in the way of the shinobi and I eventually became his weapon. However, I will admit that I never liked the killing that came with it. That explains why you didn't kill Naruto and Sasuke back in the Land of Waves, Kakashi realized. He had a few other questions regarding that battle, but decided to hold them off for a better day. Sasuke wasn't happy by the fact that Haku had been holding back against them. He made a promise to himself to defeat Haku in their next rematch. Haku had a little more of his story to tell. We traveled together, picking up jobs like the one we had in the Land of Waves. During our journey, I remember meeting a man by the name Kimimaro. I remember him because I felt the same loneliness and sadness inside him that I once felt. I even offered for him to come along with us, but he refused, claiming he had to find his own way. I haven't seen him since, but I would sure like to know how he's been. Shortly after, we were given a job by Gato, and that leaves us where we currently are, in Konoha, becoming a team. Wow. It seems like you've lived a rough and confusing life, Sakura said. Yes, I guess you could say so, but everything is now. Before these past few days, I even felt that Zabuza was looking for a purpose in life, however your village appears to have given him another chance to start over. He will never admit it, but I think he is truly grateful. Although he is already mad that there are Anbu following him everywhere, Kakashi just smiled at Haku's last comment. The next morning, the new Team 7 awaited Kakashi at the training ground. He had promised them cool new jutsu and they were going to get it. The only question now was how late would Kakashi be? Surprisingly, he was only about 45 minutes late this morning, a new record for him. Alright, as promised I went to the library this morning while you were doing your mission and I picked out some jutsu that I think you all should find useful, Kakashi said. He then handed a scroll to Naruto. Seeing as you can already use the Shadow Clone Jutsu, I thought this would be perfect for you. Naruto opened the scroll and saw a jutsu. He read, Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu, A rank. He was ecstatic at the jutsu Kakashi picked out, seeing that it was an A rank technique. But he was a little curious as to what it did. Kakashi-sensei, what does this jutsu do and why is it considered an A rank? Naruto asked. Good of you to ask, Naruto. The reason it's A rank is because of the requirement of knowing the Shadow Clone Jutsu, a B rank technique typically taught to Jonin ninja. What it does, is it makes shadow clones of your shuriken, Kakashi explained. Naruto was a little deflated upon hearing this. That's it? He shouted. I thought you were going to give me something useful. If I wanted shadow clones of my shuriken, I would just make shadow clones and have them throw their shuriken. Kakashi sighed. It's not like that. Imagine the difference between one shuriken coming at you and dozens, even hundreds of shuriken coming at you. Naruto thought about what Kakashi said. Well, one shuriken isn't much and it can be easily blocked, but a lot of shuriken, well, Naruto said. With a lot of shuriken, your first thought is to get out of the way, as the more there are, the more difficult it is to block them. Now imagine if you could throw one shuriken at your enemy, but hit them with over 30 inches with that. Kakashi pulled out a few shuriken and threw at a training post. Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu, he shouted. Just before the shuriken hit the post, they copied itself into about 100 shuriken. Now the post was filled with metal shuriken impaled in it. Naruto's jaw dropped and Kakashi just smiled. If timed correctly, it is a very useful and deadly move. Kakashi then handed a scroll to Sasuke. Katen, Dragon Fire Breath, Sasuke said, reading the description. B rank. Unlike your Great Fireball Jutsu, this attack utilizes a constant stream of flames. Also, the range is greater, about double of your jutsu, and the flame is hotter, Kakashi said. Haku, if you could make a mirror. With that, Haku made a nice mirror. Kakashi used the Great Fireball Jutsu on it. The fireball made contact and burst into flames. Afterwards, the mirror was still intact and only a few drops of water rolled down. The problem with your jutsu is that it's not powerful enough and it isn't sustained. Alright, so this jutsu is more powerful? Sasuke asked. Yes. It's at least 3-4x more powerful of a fire than your Katen, Great Fireball Jutsu. Now watch, Kakashi said, forming the hand seals for the Katen, Dragon Fire Breath. He sent a stream of flames towards the mirror. Unlike the fireball, this attack was sustained for many seconds, and when Kakashi was finished, most of the mirror had melted. Sasuke just stared at the mirror and smiled. Now this is what he had wanted. Kakashi handed a scroll to Haku. Now this technique is a water-style jutsu, but I'm sure you can find some way to make an ice-style jutsu from it. Haku read the scroll. Suten, Water Whip, C rank. It read. Kakashi thought on the jutsu and performed it after a few minutes. A whip of water extended towards the training post, wrapping it up. It's not that powerful of a jutsu, but even I can see some potential for it to be greatly improved if you can incorporate your ice style into it. Haku gratefully accepted the task. Kakashi turned to Sakura. You were a little more difficult, but after analyzing your strengths, I think you would be better off learning a type of genjutsu, Kakashi said, handing her a scroll. And this technique reminded me a lot about you. Sakura opened the scroll and read Cherry Blossom Blizzard. She now knew what Kakashi was talking about. Kakashi-sensei, what exactly is the point of genjutsu? Naruto asked. Well, if an opponent uses a genjutsu on you, he basically takes control of your chakra, disrupting their senses, unlike ninjutsu and taijutsu, which focuses on dealing physical harm to your opponent. Now genjutsu can either be illusionary or offensive. This one happens to be illusionary, but an offensive genjutsu has the potential to do some major mental damage, Kakashi said. Don't panic. I am now going to use this genjutsu on you. Kakashi activated the genjutsu and suddenly the four genin were enveloped in a blizzard of cherry blossoms. Soon, they all began to feel something tapping them on their back, but when they turned, there was nothing there but more cherry blossoms. Kakashi then came up behind Sakura and put a blunt knife to her neck and cancelled the genjutsu. Don't worry Sakura, the knife wasn't sharp, Kakashi said as Sakura was rubbing her neck where the knife was. If you noticed, I tapped you all multiple times but when you looked, you saw nothing, correct? The four genin nodded. Now imagine if every time I tapped you, I was actually stabbing you with a knife. They soon got what Kakashi was talking about. The strength of a genjutsu depends on two things, the actual strength of the technique and the ability of the caster. A genjutsu master can make the weakest genjutsu stronger than the most powerful genjutsu if it were used by a novice. While I am proficient in genjutsu, if you need some expert advice, Sakura, I suggest you ask Kurama Yuhi, sensei of Team 8. The four of them nodded at their sensei for the techniques that he gave them. Kakashi sensei, speaking of genjutsu, there is a way to counter genjutsu. Are you going to show us how? Sasuke asked. I will, but why don't you work on these jutsu and I'll teach you how to counter genjutsu next week, Kakashi said. Inside his head, he was laughing at his brilliance. This should keep Naruto and Sasuke quiet for a few weeks. Yes, he had purposefully given Naruto and Sasuke a high-level jutsu so that they would stop pestering him, and this way, so long as they played along like good little genin, everything would run smoothly for a few weeks at least. With Naruto, he heard a voice begin to speak inside his head. Naruto, Kurama said to him. Since we are on the topic of genjutsu, there is something I must tell you regarding the subject. I was able to be controlled by genjutsu, but now that you and I are working together, it should have little to no effect on us. Why is that? Naruto asked the demon in his head. Basically, to disrupt a genjutsu, it requires a disruption in your chakra flow. If you are in a genjutsu, I can provide a small burst of chakra, which should dispel it. It's one of the few things I can help you out with, given the current condition of this seal. Alright, that sounds good, Naruto responded. With that, Naruto returned to reality. The rest of the afternoon was spent practicing their jutsu. As expected, this jutsu quickly turned into a rivalry match between Naruto and Sasuke and the two began diving headfirst into their new jutsu. The agreed conditions were that Naruto would have to produce a dozen shuriken from one shuriken, the equivalent of what Kakashi had done in the demonstration, and Sasuke had to be able to melt one of Haku's ice mirrors. Are you all in position? Called a voice over the wireless headset. I'm in position, called a feminine voice. I'm ready, called a slightly bored voice. I'm ready, called a new and kind of excited voice. Why the hell are we doing this mission again, sensei? Shouted a very loud voice. Because, Naruto, these D ranks build teamwork and we need to incorporate Haku into this team. Besides, don't you remember the deal we made? Reminded Kakashi. Fine. Let's just get this over with, said the now defeated Naruto. Alright, on 3. 1, 2, 3, go with that. The four genin of Team 7 dove onto their target, a certain cat wearing a red ribbon. Yes, unfortunately for every genin of the village, the fire daimyo's wife was in town. Do you have the target? Oh ow 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 ow! Screamed Naruto as the cat viciously clawed at his face. Sakura peeled the cat off and began stroking in the cat's sweet spot behind the ears that she had discovered the first time they had this mission, which instantly calmed the cat down. At the same time, inner Sakura was contemplating how much this secret of calming tore down could be sold for. 3 days passed since Kakashi had given to genin their new jutsu. For Team 7, the daily schedule consisted of Naruto and Sasuke would usually arrive at the training ground sometime between 7 to 8, Haku would show up not too much longer after and Sakura would show up by 9. After she finished fixing her hair and everything else that she felt she had to do to get Sasuke's attention, Kakashi said he would show up around 8:30 to help them, which meant he would normally show up around 10 to 10:30 at 12 o'clock. Team 7 would get a lunch break and then reconvene for a series of missions in the afternoon. This morning, Kakashi was sitting underneath the tree reading a book. He had just given Naruto and Sasuke some advice on their jutsu and the two had gone straight to work figuring it out. Silly genin, Kakashi said to himself. It'll take weeks, maybe even months for them to get those jutsu down. But, that means a good amount of time without them complaining about missions. Yeah. I've got it, shouted Naruto as Kakashi nearly choked on his words. Kakashi looked over at Naruto's training stump and saw 2 shuriken lodged in the post. Damn it, swore Sasuke to himself. I won't let you get ahead of me, Naruto. While Naruto had just gotten his shuriken to duplicate, Sasuke had yet to turn his fireball into a flamethrower. That is until he did the jutsu again. Sasuke concentrated the chakra in his lungs, building up as much as he could. He made the necessary hand seals and took a deep breath, mixing the molten fire chakra with the air in his lungs. Kaden, Dragon Fire Breath Jutsu. Sasuke unleashed the fire in his lungs and a stream of flames were unleashed. This wasn't the previous fireball, this was a sustained stream of flames. Sasuke smirked at his progress, even if he didn't melt the ice. Kakashi stared on in amazement. They've already got the basics down? He thought. It should be at least another 2 weeks until Naruto could even make a single shuriken clone or Sasuke could generate a constant stream of flames. Of course, Naruto only made one shuriken and Sasuke's fire wasn't strong enough, but still. Now all that's left is for them to figure out how to pump more power into the jutsu. Sasuke was panting hard, having used up a lot of chakra with that last attempt, and Naruto wasn't looking too much better. "Alright, I think you all have deserved a break," said Kakashi, standing up. "You're all coming much farther than I initially expected. Why don't you grab lunch and I'll see you for missions later this afternoon." "Sasuke, do you want to get lunch?" Sakura asked. Like every other day, she was hoping Sasuke would say yes. "I'd rather not," responded Sasuke. "If you've got time to be bothering me, then you have time to be working on that jutsu Kakashi-sensei gave you." Sasuke left a deflated Sakura behind to go do whatever he did for lunch. Sakura, if you want you could come get some ramen with me," Naruto asked, trying to cheer his crush up. "And why would I want to do that?" growled Sakura. Like every other day, Naruto had been rejected as well. Later that afternoon, Team 7 received their mission. It was a simple drink again. While they wanted to complain, Naruto and Sasuke kept their mouths shut. There would be plenty of time for complaining when they got their jutsus down. However, Naruto was steadily getting tired of the drink. After the mission in the waves, he had been hoping for at least another C rank, even if he felt he was ready for a B rank or something more. Kakashi-sensei, I know we promised not to complain and everything, but I don't suppose we could do something different than a D rank. I know we are ready for another one," asked Naruto after they had reported in. "Yeah, come on sensei. Naruto's right." "Right, Sasuke?" replied Sakura. Even she was getting tired of the D ranks again. Today they had to help out on a farm and Sakura was probably dirtier than she had ever been, a feeling she was not enjoying all that well. "The Dobi's right. I know we promised not to say anything, but we've completed the equivalent of an A rank mission. These D ranks are just starting to get old again," responded Sasuke. Kakashi sighed. So much for the jutsus staving off their desire for something a little more. He looked over at Haku, who had just been smiling. Kakashi figured that Haku had just been putting a mask on and taking the D ranks. Perhaps. "How about this, I'll reserve a C rank for a few days from now. I want to get Haku to 10 missions before we take on some longer mission, and I suspect a few more days of D ranks will get him there." Why does Haku need to get to 10 missions?" asked Sakura. "It was just part of the requirement that Hokage-sama gave me when he assigned Haku to this team," said Kakashi. In reality, he needed to get Haku to the 10 mission minimum for the Chunin exams that were coming up in a few weeks. The council had requested that Sasuke and Haku specifically be able to compete in these exams. In reality, they were most likely trying to kiss up to the last two bearers of a rare bloodline. "Fine, I suppose that will work," said Naruto. "Good. Now the four of you are done for today, I'll go and reserve our mission for a few days. Just remember that you have tomorrow off. I'll be around sometime around noon to help you, if you wish to train a little, as there is something I need to do in the morning." Today was their day off and Naruto and Sasuke were hard at work competing against one another to complete their jutsu. Thankfully for them, they had the entire day to work. They both had the basic forms of the jutsu down. They just had to increase the power now. Although Sakura enjoyed her days off, she had decided to use this day to train as well, especially after what Sasuke had said to her. She had tried to talk to Sasuke after their mission, but he made a comment that was basically translated as she was below Naruto. Naruto was now pulling his own weight in the team and his abilities were rapidly growing to a point where they were easily above hers. Sadly, she realized Sasuke was correct. During the wave mission, she had done nothing more than stand in front of Tazuna while Sasuke, Naruto, and Kakashi-sensei did all the fighting. Also, Naruto and Sasuke were constantly training, pushing each other while she would do nothing but sit around and fantasize over Sasuke. Not to mention, She was smart, and it wasn't long before she was beginning to realize that Sasuke didn't care for her fangirl attitude. From the sounds of it, he wanted her to not be a burden. Perhaps if she were to be the one to get her jutsu down. Sakura remembered that Kakashi told her to go and see Kurenai, teammate sensei, if she needed help on the genjutsu. Thankfully, today was one of teammates' training days and they weren't out on missions. "Hey guys," Sakura shouted to Sasuke, Haku, and Naruto, but mostly to Sasuke. "Sakura?" Naruto asked, wondering what she was doing at the training ground on their day off. "I thought this was your day off?" "It's okay Sakura, you don't have to come out here if you don't want to," Sasuke said smugly. "Well, if you must know. I was talking to Kurenai-sensei about the genjutsu, and I think I have it," Sakura said, trying to impress Sasuke. She actually managed to get a little smile out of him. "Alright then, go ahead and let's see," Sasuke said, challenging what she was saying. Sakura went through the necessary preparations for the genjutsu and cast it on her three teammates. Just like Kakashi, cherry blossoms swirled around them, greatly obscuring their vision. Sakura then proceeded to tap Sasuke repeatedly as Kakashi had done. After she cancelled the jutsu, she was congratulated by Naruto. She was hoping that it would have been Sasuke saying that, although she did get a nod of approval from him. Considering that this was Sasuke, she would take that for now. They proceeded to continue training. Although Sakura truly wanted to go home, she knew that she would never get closer to Sasuke this way, so she stayed and trained with her team. A few more days passed with Naruto and Sasuke making some progress on their jutsu. Tomorrow would be the day that Kakashi said that they would be getting a C-rank mission, and they knew that today would be the best day to get their jutsu down. It was getting late and Naruto and Sasuke were running low on chakra. They were either going to get their jutsu now with this last attempt, or they wouldn't have enough chakra for another attempt. Naruto and Sasuke took one look at each other, which basically said, "Watch this, I'm going to complete my jutsu with this last go." Haku nodded and made an ice mirror while Naruto pulled out a shuriken. Both of them focused, gathering their chakra for the upcoming jutsu. At the same time Sasuke unleashed his fine, Naruto let his shuriken go. After everything happened, Sasuke inspected the ice mirror that was no longer there, and Naruto went to count the number of shuriken in the stump. As Sasuke had completed his goal, Naruto counted 14 shuriken in the stump, meaning he had accomplished his goal as well. Up until now, Sasuke had always been beating Naruto, even if just barely, but now, they had tied. Naruto was gaining on him. Sasuke didn't like it and he had to push himself so that the dobi wouldn't beat him. Sasuke had to admit though, he probably would not have gotten his jutsu, his first B-rank jutsu, completed in the time that he did if it wasn't for Naruto pushing him. Even Kakashi had mentioned that he had expected that it should have taken them at least 2 weeks to get the first part of the jutsu, which was the fire stream. For Naruto, the first part was getting the first shuriken clone. However, he had the jutsu complete in just over a week, something Kakashi didn't even think was possible. He still didn't want to admit it, but perhaps he had found a worthwhile rival. Kakashi appeared the next morning outside the mission hall holding the crank that he had promised his students. It was a delivery mission. A lord by the name of Fuyiko Kazaka had purchased a sword from a local weapons shop in Konoha. The sword was an older katana, crafted by the legendary swordsmith Masamune a few centuries ago. The age and maker of the sword made it an incredibly valuable piece of work, and both the seller and client were certain that there would be a few bandits along the delivery route. While the sword was valuable to a lord, it wasn't special in a shinobi sense, making it very unlikely that the sword would be targeted by a shinobi. As such, a C-rank mission was requested to deliver the sword, and a team of Genin who had survived a face-to-face encounter with Zabuza Momoyuki, let alone one who studied under Zabuza, was expected to be more than enough protection for said mission. "Kakashi-sensei, so what sort of cool mission are we doing today?" asked Naruto. "It's a delivery mission," Naruto responded. "Kakashi. What? A delivery mission? But you promised us a cool C-rank mission." "All the delivery missions so far have been nothing but boring D ranks," complained Naruto. Kakashi just chuckled. "This one's a little different. We have been assigned to deliver a valuable sword to Fuyiko Kazaka, a lord in the northwestern part of the Land of Fire. While I don't expect any shinobi activity on this mission, the sword is valuable, and as such attractive to thieves and bandits. Now, go pack for about 3 days and meet me at the gates in an hour," said Kakashi. Team 7 accepted the mission without any more complaints. A few thieves was much better than catching a cat or milking a cow. A few hours after they left the village, Any boredom Naruto may have accumulated was soon ridded from him as they encountered their first bandit attack. A group of bandits, roughly half a dozen, emerged from the forest and demanded that the traveling ninja hand over any valuables they were carrying. When Kakashi denied their request, the bandits followed through on their threat and charged at the Genin. Within about 20 seconds, all 6 of the bandits were incapacitated. Kakashi was glad to see that one of his students had put their new jutsu to good use. Sakura had used her genjutsu on the bandit she was facing to distract the man while she delivered a strong punch to the bandit's cheek, knocking him against a tree and unconscious. Naruto and Sasuke had both beaten their bandits pretty good, although they had not used the jutsu Kakashi had given them, which was understandable as their jutsus carried the potential to kill. It was hard distinguishing Haku's bandit from the porcupine that had just run out of the bushes a second ago. Kakashi's too were handled with ease, even more so than he had done with the demon brothers. The team continued on with their mission, and the following day, they wondered upon the remainder of the bandits had shown up. This time, it was roughly 24 bandits that had descended upon them. Sasuke and Naruto took one look at each other before the action started. This was most definitely a competition between the two of them now. Naruto ducked underneath one attack, responding by nailing the bandit in the stomach with a strong punch. This gave him a little breathing room as he summoned a few shadow clones to aid him. The clones soon went to work overpowering most of the bandits that had decided to take on, as they saw it, the short and stupid-looking one. Boy were they mistaken when they were hit by the wave of orange. After he was finished with his bandits, Naruto looked over to see Sasuke sitting on top of a pile of battered, beaten, and burned bandits. 7, declared Naruto. Sasuke growled, having only beaten 6. That was before he noticed a forgotten bandit sneaking up behind him. Sasuke swung his foot at high speed around, catching the bandit in the side of the head, knocking him into a tree. There, 7. Naruto and Sasuke smirked at each other, satisfied that the other wasn't giving up so easily. A few days passed and Team 7 had returned to Konoha by that time. Today was designated as a training day for the team as Kakashi said that he had something to do. After lunch, Team 7 had met in an alleyway, waiting for Naruto, who had apparently forgotten something. Sakura was stuck waiting for Naruto as Sasuke and Haku had left to go train. When Naruto came back, he noticed something out of place. Is that supposed to be a rock? Naruto thought to himself. He took a few steps forward, only for the rock to follow him. Even the fox inside Naruto's head was confused at the rock. What the hell is that? Said Kurama. Don't even ask, Naruto said to his inner demon, dropping his head. Coming back to reality, he turned to face the rock. What kind of rock is square with 2 holes? I can see right through that. Just what I would expect from my rival, the rock said as it exploded, revealing Konohamaru, Moegi, and Udon. Oh, it's just you, Konohamaru. So what do you want now? Naruto asked, trying to get away from the kids so he could train and not let Sasuke get so far ahead of him. Leader, are you free? Moegi asked, trying to make herself cute and irresistible, which really doesn't work too well on Naruto. Nope, I'm training, Naruto said. Meanwhile, Sakura was standing slightly behind him, watching the whole endeavor. What? But you promised that you would play ninja with us today, Konohamaru shouted out. Why would a ninja want to play ninja? Sakura asked, staring at the 3 kids with a look of annoyance. Hey bro, who is this girl? Konohamaru asked Naruto. She's starting at him like she wants to eat him alive, he thought. Konohamaru, got an idea in your head? Huh? Naruto asked, wondering what the kid was thinking. Not bad bro. She's your. He leaned closer to Naruto to whisper in his ear. Girlfriend? Hee hee, you brats are very perceptive, Naruto said, just as a fist made contact with his face, sending him flying back into a fence. Konohamaru turned to Sakura, who was now looked like she was ready to kill the 3 kids. How dare you, you ugly bitch, Konohamaru said, pushing his luck too far. Sakura smacked him, leaving just as many lumps on his head as Naruto had gotten. Once the 2 regained consciousness, Konohamaru still didn't learn his lesson. Damn it. That ugly huge four-headed, is that really a girl? Naruto got a signal from the fox in his head to run as they turned around to see Sakura charging full steam towards them. Ouch, that hurt, Konohamaru said, running into something solid. When he looked up, he saw a ninja in black pants and a black shirt, with a bandaged bundle on his back, and paint on his face. Standing next to him was a girl in her mid-teens with blonde hair tied into 4 ponytails. On her back was what looked like a rather large collapsed fan. That hurt you little brat. The man with the painted face said. That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.